Good evening, excuse me, good evening, everyone. It's 5 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I do appreciate everyone attending. And for Ashley, please note that all the members are present. I need approval of today's agenda. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Julie. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? There's no action items, which brings us to our only topic tonight, which is going to surround and be centered around Lori Volz. And if you'd asked me 12 months ago if I thought we'd be having this meeting, I would have said we would not. And a couple of things. I've been overwhelmed by the community support that I've received in support of Lori. And I was very distressed, disappointed when I heard that she was considering leaving, because Lori is one of the key employees in this district that keeps this district moving forward. And I was more depressed when I found out some of the reasons that Lori was thinking about leaving, and that has to do with the inactions, and the way that the board has handled themselves the past year. And I'm the chair of the board, so I'm accountable for that. And for that, I apologize, Lori. Part of that is my responsibility. However, we have to move forward. And so I'm looking forward to moving in that direction. There is a large swelling of community support for you, and I wanted those people to come forward and let you know how much you're appreciated, because I don't think we've done a good job in the past of doing that. We'd like to try to find a way to move forward in a positive environment, and that's going to require some forgiving and some forgetting. And again, for my parts of that, I apologize. I'm going to ask that we have a discussion tonight that's positive, that there's no negative comments, that everything that we do that we can to have Lori stay and continue for our students, that we try to do that tonight. I'd also like to set what I think is a reasonable time frame of about an hour so that we can get that done. We certainly won't cut anybody off. I'll invite people that want to speak to come forward. It's not a typical open forum. There's no time limit. We'll try not to repeat each other, but I want it to be a meeting where the community support that I've heard for you, that you can see that we can all see that our actions have affected that, and to try to move forward. And I know that Mike, Dr. Funk, works the most closely with you, although I have as well the past 2 years. And so I'm going to have Mike start with what he thinks about you and how valuable you are, and then we'll kind of move from there. Okay?
So here we are. All right, Ashley, you want to go ahead and pop it up? So what I have for you tonight is you're going to hear a number of great things about Lori from me.
Mike, I'm sorry, can you hit your mic again?
How's that? We're not moving. Okay. So tonight you're going to hear a lot of great things about Lori. But I also think we need to, and I think the theme that Mark talked about is right on, the forgiveness, the forgetting part, and the discussion of moving forward as a district. So I'm going to be more than just a few minutes here, because I think, as this slide says, this is a momentous event for our community. Bottom line, we are in the middle of the process of losing the best finance director in the state of Minnesota. She's my right hand, and with Lori and our administrative team, we've accomplished more for our school district than probably any other district in the state of Minnesota over the last 7 years. So there's a few slides here. I'm not going to read through all of them, but these are just some things that she was very instrumental in for our school district, saving taxpayers $3.38 million. Refinancing a bond, saving taxpayers another $1.1 million. A free on-site clinic for our employees and their families who are on our insurance plan. 4-year-old program for our district. We received $800,000 this last August from the state of Minnesota for that program. We've got all this great new technology in the district. We've been able to increase staffing. Here's a few of the grants that we've received. I think in 2010 we started to receive the integration grant, and this is an annual grant that we receive on an annual basis. We've been able to tap into some money from the legislature for unique programming in our school district. We've received about $250,000 a year in a competitive grant from the state of Minnesota. Our schools are more safe. We're starting a new special ed cooperative. Yes, we're doing something with Austin. I think that's pretty rare. So to meet the needs of our students, and we moved our ALC out of this building to a much more appropriate campus for our students where they can see different options at the Riverland campus. All of our students in Albert Lea attend home events for free. They don't have to pay to get in. It's saving the students. It's saving their parents money. We're providing students Chromebooks. Next year, all students in grades 6 through 12 will have one. We give advanced placement testing to the high school. We've encouraged students to take the test. We actually require them to take it. We went from about a half dozen students 2 years ago to 186 took the test last year. And those are about $100 a pop, and the district pays for them. We have free breakfast for all of our students in 2 of our buildings. We have a summer breakfast program for all of our students for a few weeks in the summer. Each teacher has a Chromebook, and we have staff development that's aligned with the district goals. And this is just, I typed this up in about 10 minutes this afternoon. This is stuff just off the top of my head on the district accomplishments. So how do we get here? Okay, why is Lori leaving? Why do I think, what's going on? Few comments today, and you'll hear me talk more about this in a minute. We talked about a new calendar for the community a few years ago. Okay, that was very divisive for the community. It remains divisive for the community. We'll talk more about that in a minute here. As a result of that whole calendar discussion, I really believe that there's an element in our community that's just negative on everything the district does. And they've done a great job of getting their message out. So I've been reflecting on this for about a week. I think there was a very nice editorial that came out Friday in the newspaper about, you know, can we move forward? And these are my comments. So I'm going to totally switch gears on people. You're going to think I'm nuts here, but I think it's important we go through this for the next few slides. Twice in the past 12 years, I've been deployed overseas to the Balkans, which is kind of a strange place to have people. I was in a place called Bosnia in 2003, and I was a place in Kosovo till in 2007. And I learned a lot about culture in those places, and I want to kind of share some of that with our community tonight. So there's a map of Eastern Europe in front of you. I don't know if it's hard to see, but at the bottom of it, you can see Serbia. And then beneath Serbia, there's a little blip called Kosovo. To the left of Serbia is called Bosnia. So I spent about probably 20 months in those 2 countries in the early 2000s. There's a blow up at Kosovo, and you can see Serbia is to the north of it. Kosovo used to be a province of Serbia. So a little history quick. So the Serbs defeated a Turkish prince in the Battle of Kosovo in 1389. So why here we are in Albert Lea talking about it? Because we'll get back to that in a second. The battlefield is sacred to the Serbs, and it's located in Kosovo. And Kosovo is predominantly ethnic Albanian, 90%, 7% Serb population. So the Albanians are the enemies of the Serbs, and they don't like each other. My role over there was to be a peacekeeper and to maintain the peace of the 2 different sides that were fighting or didn't like each other. They were both experts at calling the others bad people. Both experts in information operations, convincing the populace on their side that the other people were bad and they were doing a bad thing. This often led to violence, and we were there to stop the violence. Kosovo, for years and years and years, said we're going to declare independence, we're going to become our own country. They've been talking about it for a decade, and in 2008, they did. They said, we are independent from you, Serbia. So, this is a picture of this battlefield that occurred in 1389. And my point on this is they can't forget, okay? You see that guy in front of that tower, he's a NATO peacekeeper from Slovakia. They have about 40 soldiers who live at that tower to make sure it doesn't get blown up from something that happened 600, 700 years ago. There's the view from the tower, farmland. So I just popped this picture up again. I operated, our soldiers were down in the bottom right quadrant of that screen, but I had another group of soldiers who worked for me who were up at the top of that screen where it connects to Serbia. Okay, about 100 soldiers. They're from Rochester. So I went up there in January because I figured, okay, we know independence coming, we don't know when it's going to be. And I took this picture. This is the main border crossing between Serbia and Kosovo. And it's got a UN flag there, and there's that white building. And I thought to myself, this is going to be a flashpoint if the people of Kosovo ever declare independence. This is that same border crossing a month later after they declared independence. Okay, they literally burned the place to the ground. Okay, why? Because of something that happened in 1389. So the Serbs came streaming across the border, very upset. That kid there is a soldier from Rochester who's standing there to the barbed wire to make sure that they're not going to be coming down to impact any of the Albanians who live in the area. Just look at this guy's face. And look at the hatred on his face from something that was focused from so many hundred years ago. That's what they think of America. You couldn't take that prop out of a movie. So that's some of the aftermath of the burning. This is a city just probably 50 kilometers south of the border, where these are all, I'm flying over it in a helicopter, and there's a bridge on the left-hand side of the screen. And these are Serbian nationals who want to cross that bridge into the Albanian side of town and have a go at it with the Albanians. And you see a black line of people there in front of them. Those are UN police officers making sure. We have soldiers, actually soldiers from Albert Lee. I had 100 soldiers from Albert Lee. They came up and they were deployed up there to secure that bridge. So what was the end result? Okay, Kosovo declared independence. Today they're still not recognized by Serbia. We still have a NATO peacekeeping force in Kosovo, as neither side will forget the Battle of 1389. Both countries are stuck back in time and have a difficult time moving forward as they cannot forgive or forget. All right, transition. Here we are, Albert Lea, Minnesota, 2016. Lori is being approved in Mankato tonight. I think they're going to be approving her contract in Mankato this evening to be their finance director. I hired Lori in 2009. And I will say this, the environment that we are operating in has led to her impending departure. And as your superintendent, I have a role, and I've had a role, in shaping that environment. So a little bit about me, and then we'll get back. These are 3 things that I believe in. I expect the best for my students, for our employees. We're going to do the right thing, and the needs of our students come first. One thing I'm continually learning as a superintendent is that a focus of mine is to balance the needs of our students with that of our community. All right, so fall 2014. I don't quite see this, many here tonight, I don't know, but I made this statement, okay, and I said there are only 100 of you here. All right, you know how many times over the past few years I've heard that statement? A lot. Okay, let's just put it that way. Okay, what did we try to do? We were trying to implement change of a traditional calendar to a one that started earlier in August. Okay, I said that remark. It negatively impacted our community, and in turn, it has hurt our district. So I need to be loud and clear as I can on this. I apologize for hurting our district with that remark. Okay, we need to move forward, and that has hurt our school district, and it's hurt the people who work in this district, and it's hurt the students of our district. And for that, I'm sorry. And we as a community, we have not moved past this issue. So, as a result of that, and a lot of anger that resulted from the discussion and the long drawn-out saga for the whole calendar, we've had a lot of negativity that has been focused on this school district. A lot. And it has impacted us, and it has harmed us. And it was for 2 years, and last year was probably worse than 2 years ago. Try as we might to move forward, we continue to look back. Okay, whether it's the calendar or some other issue that somebody might not have liked in the last 7+ years. So real quick, I want to go through this because I think this is key, and I think this is what we're about is hurtful, impactful. Go ahead and click on that slide, Ashley. So we have some social media sites out there that deal with the school district. Okay, and this site was up for a lot the past year, and it's been challenging for us as a school district to work through with this site. And there's just 2 things I want to highlight on this site, and then we're moving on. Okay, because I think we need to move on, and we are still continuing to bring stuff up from years ago. So just run your mouse over that video post. Don't click on it. Okay, there's a video there that has been viewed 2,800 times, or it's been clicked on 2,800 times. 2,800 times over 2 years. It's been posted for 2 years. Okay, in that video, there's an individual who's negative on the culture of the school district. Okay, that has happened 2 years ago. It is hard to move on when we keep that video up and available and playing. So for us to move on, it would be a good thing if that went away. The other thing, scroll down a little bit, Ashley. Okay. There's a comment on there, and again, this is common. I mean, my kids, they've been banned from going to this site, but they still go to it, as their teenagers do. But you see on the bottom right there, it says, "Funk illegally harassing so-and-so is buried at the end of the article." Okay. I got to ask the community, how is by placing "Funk illegally harassing" on the front page of a Facebook post helpful to anybody? And the other thing I'll say that goes along with that is, if anybody wants the story of Funk illegally harassing, go ahead and have a conversation with Ashley Matson. She'll give you the complete story of what's going on here, rather than what you're reading on Facebook. Okay, so enough of that. Go ahead to the next slide. Next. All right, so what we have as administration, and the reason I'm bringing this up is this has impacted Lori Volz, this has impacted Mike Funk, Kathy Niebor, Mary Jo Dorman, Jim Querum, our principals for this past year, okay? If we have an issue with the National Honor Society, we're gonna blow it up. We're gonna put snow days as an issue on Facebook or wherever, or in the social media world. We're in the middle of negotiations with our teachers. We have a ALEA president sitting in the back of the room here, and we've always done it in-house. It's always been internal. Suddenly, it's on the internet that we're negotiations and that we're having a difficult time coming to a conclusion. The post-prom party was all over Facebook and an investigation into that. We have a district culture as being portrayed as negative. We have our board chair, who's the most respected man I know, attacked and demanded that he be resigned. So bottom line is this: negativity has a cost. It impacts what we do as professionals. It's hurtful when our integrity comes into question. Sustained negativity increases stress for everybody involved. It just does. Even worse, and we're going to get into the worst here for a second, and my wife wants me to share the worst with you for a second. Even worse, when negative words establishes an environment where physical action occurs, things have gone too far. So I'm going to show you a few slides here. And these are pictures I took. And I want you to take a thought, think through this. What message are we sending? What message is being sent to me and my family? And what do you think my colleagues think about this as a result of what they're seeing? All right, there's my family taken last June picture. Here's homecoming week 2016. I have my oldest daughter, Madeline, is going to school in the morning, and she comes and gets me, and she says, "Dad, somebody's damaged my car." So I come out and I take a look, and she's got 2 flat tires. I've got 2 flat tires in my vehicle. We have landscaping from across the street that has been ripped out and placed in front of my daughter's, a railroad tie has been placed in front of my daughter's wheels with 4-inch spikes sticking up. So if she moves forward, she pops all of her tires. And we have human feces spread on the window of her car. How do I know that? Because Adam Kahn from the Alberta Police Department did a tremendous job, and he worked hard at getting this, and we got all the individuals involved who did this, and they admitted to doing what they did. And this is something I would see in Kosovo or Bosnia, the human feces piece. Okay, so what are we doing? What environment are we doing? And so my point in showing you all this is this not only impacts me, it impacts my family. This impacts everybody I work with. So what message are we sending when we do this? So can we move on? I think we can. We're a good community. We've got a lot of good people. We can move forward. I'm competent as your superintendent, as many of you know. I'm aggressive, but I want to do what's right for our kids, and I know how to get things done. Lori is the one who helps translate that vision into a reality. I encourage the board and the community to move forward as one and do what you can to retain her. A couple other thoughts here. Folks, the balance calendar is dead, okay? I read an article in Tribune this weekend. They're talking about the calendar. Okay, we may talk about an early start, and I know we're gathering data on that right now, but the balance calendar is dead. We will continue to add programming and enhance opportunities for our children. We need your support. We need it for our staff, our students, and our district to reach its full potential. We've been able to do good things in spite of each other. We can be great moving together. Now, I'm going to show you one more slide here, and I want you to think, okay, do we want to think of this tower back in 1389, or do we want our first win, you know, to celebrate like our first win in homecoming that we did in 32 games? So what do we want for our community? Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. We seem to be going out of order from the agenda as posted on board book and on the screen.
I have community feedback.
So will there be further superintendent remarks at 4.1.4?
They're all not.
Okay, so will you be entertaining a motion to change the order of the agenda?
No, we're going to move forward. So again, Lori, the negativity that exists is not, we're all responsible for it. The six of us up here have a part in that as well. And again, as Mike said, as he apologized for himself, I'm apologizing for the rest of us, for anything that we've done that's created this environment where you feel the need that you might need to leave. And so I would like to ask if there's any community members that would like to come forward and have any comments about Lori or her role here in the district. Is there anybody out there who'd like to come forward?
So you want my name and?
Yeah, you're on. You're good. Yep.
I'm on? Okay. I'm Ken Peterson. I live at 1716 Bay Oaks Drive here in town. And I really haven't been involved much with the school recently. The last couple months, because of the urging of others, I've decided to, as you know, to run for the school board. But as I look at being here tonight and listening to people and looking at the editorial that was last Friday in the Elberly Tribune, I did write a letter to the editor regarding that. And I'm more of a person that looks forward instead of in the rearview mirror. And I think when we look at humans, we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. You can ask my wife. I've made a whole bunch of mistakes. And I think what emotions get involved, I think pride gets in the way too often in bringing people together. And I think that when you look at our district, we all want to be proud of it. There are so many good things going on, and I just think that our teachers do a great job. We have a staff that's committed, and we just need to make sure that we support them. And so I'm glad to hear people asking for forgiveness, because one of the things I wrote, and hopefully that article will be in here, is one of the things that I said that people are going to have to do is, first of all, forgive one another, ask for an apology, be okay with differences, and then move forward together. And at the end of the day, it's not really about us. It's more about the greater good for the district and for our students. And so I hope that we can get beyond all this. Again, everybody probably needs to do a little apologizing to others. And again, then the forgiveness has to be there. So that's my comments. Thanks.
Thanks, Ken. Anybody else?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Dan Dorman. I reside at 19263 767th Avenue in Albert Lee. I sent you all an email on Friday. I hope you've taken time to read it. And for those who didn't get the benefit of that email, it basically said a couple of things. One, the community's watching you from a staff, from a board member standpoint, and we expect better. We expect better. We expect professionalism. And I don't think there's just one person or two people that can do a better job. I think we can all do a better job. I personally feel I should have been involved earlier, and I apologize that I wasn't. I can't back up, but I am involved now and will continue to stay involved, hopefully until things get to the point where we don't have to watch every board meeting to see petty bickering, which is what I've seen all too often. And I think for that to happen, it's great to apologize to certain people. Apologize to Ms. Volz, because that's who has been hurt, and to others that have been hurt. We expect you to act professionally and certainly not take your fights out on staff. That is uncalled for. And Dr. Funk, I like you. I think you do a good job. Some of the stuff went overboard. I don't think there's any question. Some of it comes with being a superintendent. Ms. Marine, haven't spoke with you, but I speak with your husband, and I've listened to you. Some of this comes with being in politics. It doesn't always feel good. It doesn't always feel good. And at some point, you're going to have to make a decision whether you can move beyond that. I hope you can. But if you can't, then maybe you should consider what your future is. Again, I hope you can move on. I think you're a good board member, and I think you can do it. But I think we all have to make that decision. As a former state rep, I can tell you I didn't like the Facebook comments or posts. The ones that really bothered me, though, were when somebody went after my kids. So I understand where Dr. Funk is coming from that. I understand when you decide to run for school board or you take a job as superintendent of school, you should expect some of that. And if you can't, you're in the wrong business and you ought not be here. So I think you all need to think about that and then hold each other accountable. It isn't enough to simply say, well, I didn't like that. If you see one of your fellow board members responding in a non-professional manner, whether that's here tonight, whether it's in social media, or whether it's in a closed meeting, hold each other accountable. Even when you agree with them, you may agree with every single thing that that board member is saying, but if it's said in an unprofessional manner or questioning the integrity of a staff member when they shouldn't be, don't remain silent. Make sure you speak. That's what we expect. And like everybody in this room, I think and hope and pray that we can get by this as a community. And I think the community can, Dr. Funk, I really do. But I think it's going to take a little work. It isn't simply just to say, oh, okay, we're moving on. I think a lot of it's going to be dependent on the people that are in this room. For those that are leaving the board, you'll get to sit back and watch, and whoever replaces them, I think the community needs to watch them. I don't know who the heck I'm voting for, but I read letters, I read posts. With a few other people, we had the audacity to say, holy cow, what do we do? Let's get some people together and figure out if we can save Lori Volz. Crazy thing is, there are a few people that were negative about that, like it was some big conspiracy. Forget about those people. You're always going to have those people that are going to say crazy things that aren't based on facts. I can't help that. No one can. So you just say, well, that's interesting. Here are the facts. You can choose to listen to them or not listen to them, but the community's moving forward. And I think when that happens, when we start to hold each other as responsible as we expect the other person to be held, I think we'll see better things. And so my message in that email, renegotiate her contract because it's going to cost you a heck of a lot more. It's going to cost the taxpayers a heck of a lot more if you let her escape to Mankato than if you keep her. So you need to do that. And you need to apologize to each other and work this out and move forward in a very much more professional manner. So that's my 2 cents, and I wish you well and hope for the best for our district.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was mentioned by name. I have the right to respond.
Please do.
Thank you. Thank you for your words, and I have considered my future. And I'm happy to announce tonight that I will be remaining right here on the board, and I'm remaining in my position. I'm holding steadfast in my position. I agree that things are dysfunctional and out of order and unprofessional. Taking things out on staff, I would like to have more information about that at some point. And as you said, you have never spoken with me. If you care to ever share with me what you're talking about, if things are being taken out on staff, that is something that we need to know. And as we were talking about negative social media, I was notified by the community of negative personal attack just this week that you're aware of. So I wanted to respond to that since I was mentioned by name. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anybody else? Thank you, Dan.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yep, you bet.
Anybody else like to come forward?
Hi, my name is Ellen Kerr, 1712 Plainview Lane. Nobody ever wants to get up first, do they? I'd just like to speak directly about Lori. I have been involved with the school district for all of the 7 years that you, Mike, have been here, and you, Lori, and all of my experiences from the school board through administration, they've all been positive. And it's so unfortunate that we have so many things right now that are not positive. And because my feeling about the district, the schools, the community is just You know, I've always gotten so much positive feedback. I think for you, Lori, I think that the majority of people in Albert Lea have absolutely no idea whatsoever what Lori does. They don't, you know, but the remarkable thing is, I think that I also believe that Lori Volz is perfectly fine with that. And that's a very unique quality. I think she's perfectly fine that everybody doesn't know the remarkable job she does, as long as she keeps doing that remarkable job. And that's what I've seen in you, Lori, is just, you've been excellent from the very first year. I just could not believe the things that you were getting done, and handling the finances, protecting our assets, bringing in more resources. And in the process of all that, Lori's changed a lot of lives, and she's added a lot to the quality of life in our community. So for you, Lori, if you decide that, that you have to leave us now, because that's best, you know, for you, I think that it's safe to say that everybody wishes you the very best, because truly you have given us your very best. But if there is any chance that you would stay with us, I think that would be the best outcome for our community. And I think that if you did choose to stay with us, I truly believe that you would find the support that you need from from the administration, from the school board, and certainly from the community to do your job the way you've always done your job. So thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Brad Ahrens. I reside at 217 South Lane in Albert Lea. You know, Lori, we had what turned out to be somewhat of a controversial meeting in my office just this past week, and the topic of discussion was you. It was not the superintendent. It was not any board member. The discussion was you. And I learned a lot of things from that meeting. I did. And predominantly, I learned it from other school district members. I mean, employees of the school district. There were probably 60 people at the meeting, and I'm guessing somewhere around 15 or so were probably employees of the school district. And I can only hope that someday the people that I work with feel the same thing about me as they do about you. I deeply apologize for my lack of being involved and watching from afar. I got to tell you, what appears to be just total chaos on the school board. I don't think and I'm not pointing any fingers, but from a community member, I can tell you, it just seems like just total disruption. And I hate to say that your resignation got me involved, but it did. It did. Because at the end of the day, I fear that if we can't convince you to stay, that it's just going to snowball on us. And we will lose other critical, important members, employees of the school district that really have done some remarkable things. When I listen to parents, you know, my children are gone. I'm listening to parents get up and talk about the remarkable experience they've had with the school district and the various teachers. I have, you know, I think every principal was at the meeting, and 2 or 3 of them got up and said how much easier You make their job because they've worked for school districts that are in severe financial trouble, and basically nothing can get done. So it truly was an experience to hear not only the positive things about your work, but truly the love that your coworkers felt about you at that meeting. You know, I would like to just address the school board and then the audience, because I know we have a number of candidates that are here tonight. And you know, I find it ironic that this meeting is the day before we have this election here in the United States that is truly unlike any election that I have seen. In that I firmly believe that at least 60% of the people who will be voting tomorrow are not voting for somebody, they're voting against somebody. And unfortunately, as I sit back and reflect on that, I have a feeling that that same thing is happening with our school board. I really do. I mean, we see candidates that are identified as this is one side, this is the other side. You know, I think when we all look at what's going on in the United States today, we are all tired of what's going on in Washington, D.C. And why are we tired about what's going on in Washington, D.C.? Because nothing's going on in Washington, D.C. Nothing is getting done. All they're doing is picking sides and preventing the other side from winning. You know, what's happening is a result that none of us are winning nationally. And the same thing right now is happening here. I mean, this school board should have one goal and one goal only, and that is to constantly be improving the education of our children. And my concern, and the reason why I'm here today, is because I can't believe that you're able to focus on that with what appears to be going on this school board. And I can only hope, and my message to those people who are running for school board, and there's, what, 10, whoever the three are, if we continue down this same path, we will not be focusing on what needs to be focused on. And that is, you know, at my company, my job is to constantly, to set the course for the goal, the course for the company, and our goal is to improve the financial wellness of every American worker. And everything we do at that company is about that. And we entertain every new idea. And that's, as a community member, what I want all of you to know is I welcome new ideas. I might not always agree with them, whether that's a balanced calendar or whatever, but we should all welcome those new ideas if truly they are for the benefit of the children and the education of the children. So tonight, Lori, I'm asking you to reconsider. I don't think you're alone. I know you felt alone. I'm asking you to reconsider because I know that there is a lot of support among your peers, and I detect that there's a lot of support for you among the community. To the school board and the prospective school board members, I think there should be a theme, and that theme should be collaboration. Disagreement is healthy, but it's clear that it has gone past disagreement. And now we need to sit down, identify what the issues are, talk civilly about those issues. And then it's your job to vote. And if you don't win, you just move on. If you do win, then we're looking for the next issue. But that's what we expect of you as citizens of Upper Lee. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. Anybody else?
Hello, my name's Steve Bowron. I live at 1005 East Gate Road. I've already shared these comments with Lori direct, and I know we're here to help show her that the community does provide support for her and the role she plays here at the school district. And but I wanted to come here to say, number one, that all roles within the school district are important, whether it's the superintendent, the teachers, the custodians, the food workers. Everybody's important to make a successful organization. But finance is one of the most integral parts of any organization. And you have one of the best finance people in the state. Now, I don't know Lori real well myself personally, but I know of her work. And I'm very active in my role at Riverland in Owatonna community, in the Austin community, and here in the Albert Lea community through the chambers and through some of the work I do with legislators. And when the news came out that Lori was looking to leave to go to Mankato, you can't believe how many people came up to me, first of all, asking what's going on in Albert Lea. Second of all, telling me you do not want to lose somebody with the talent and skills and abilities that Lori Volz has. And they've all told me how integral she is to this organization, and also how respected throughout the state of Minnesota, that she is truly one of the best. And you don't want to let just your maybe inability right now to deal with the day-to-day issues as a board and have that spill out over into your staff, to let that make changes in the quality of personnel you have here. All people are important, and you've got to learn how to work together to make it so that you run a great school district, but you don't jeopardize losing the talented people you have. Talented people get to go wherever they want, whenever they want. And they just need to open their doors. You know, I think the goal of the school district, the school board, the superintendent, is to do whatever you can to make sure the environment you provide your people is positive enough that you don't want anybody at any level wanting to leave because of the dysfunction that may be at the top. So when I went to talk to our finance director at the college, now we have a wonderful working relationship with the school district here in Albert Lea, especially around PSEO, college and the high school coursework that so many of our students take advantage of in getting their college education without a whole lot of a cost to their family. And the Albert Lea School District has always been the leader in working together with the college to make sure that program can work. Not only for the students and the families, but also for the school district that you all represent and for the college, so that it's a win-win-win across the board. When I mentioned to Brad that Lori was leaving, I think he about got ill and was ready to really be questioning what's going on here, because he works closely with her around that program, and he relies a lot on the ability and skills and knowledge that she brings to the table to make that work. And he really is concerned about potentially having somebody come in here that doesn't have that and ruining a program that's been going on for many, many years that's been good for the people in our community. So, Lori, I'm one of the ones that wants you to stay. If there's any way you'll change your mind, I know the community will be there to support you. I got to believe, after the kind of feedback that's been happening in the last week or two, the school board's going to do what they can to try to figure out how to collaborate better, work together better, so that not only does that not affect your future with this organization, but every other administrator, teacher, worker that you have here in the school district. So we can all be proud, because this is one heck of a school district. I have 3 children that got wonderful educations here and are now successful working adults. And you can hear that. If everyone talked about their children, you're going to hear the same thing from all of them. So please do what you can to work it out. I hope you all, as school board members, also try to have her stay. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Anybody else? Anybody else from the community? Is there any employees that have come that would like to speak?
Good evening. I'm Al Helgerson, 1107 Pine Hill here in Albertley. To piggyback a little about what Steve was talking about, you know, I went to Albertley schools pretty much K-12 with my good friend Daniel back there. And it was a great school then. All my kids, they're all done. They went K-12. My grandkids are now. I have a granddaughter at middle school. We have 3, 4 grandkids here. And so this is a heck of a good school district. Been here forever, really like it. I've been teaching for the school district now for 26 plus years. And I hope that, you know, I know things will get worked out. I know Lori pretty well. I know Mike and Jim and some other board members here. I'm the president of our union, plus I'm a chief negotiator. So I work with Lori, you know, when we go out work on a contract, and I ask her for questions. Can you explain this? Can you, you know, give me some information on that? It's quick, fast. It's in a hurry. It's professional, and it's, you know, it's always a good thing that we can talk so openly. When I meet with, you know, being as the president, and I have my vice president, I meet with Mike and Jim on certain issues, and sometimes Lori's there when it's non-contract issues, but it's other things, and we'll leave the room. Sometimes things get worked out right away. Sometimes we'll leave the room, and whoever's with me, whether it be Janice or Dave or whoever, we'll leave the room. Sometimes we say, God dang Queerum, or that dang, you know. we leave the room, and, you know, but they eventually get worked out. It just takes time, but we never ever leave the room and say that gall darn Lori, you know. It's because she does a good job. Dan called me, or no, I talked with Dan on Sunday or Monday about the meeting that was held Tuesday. I couldn't make it because I was up at a, Tuesday morning I had to be at a, and it was an overnight thing, for the ESSA, the new, instead of the No Child Left Behind, it's the Every Student Succeeds Act. It's a joint effort with the Department of Ed and Ed Minnesota. And I was up there, and we had a break, and I was talking with John, I can't remember his last name, but he goes, well, what were you gonna do tonight? Because everybody's making jokes about how you're giving up your evening. And I said, well, I was supposed to be at a meeting, our deputy superintendent / financial director is leaving, and they're having a meeting to try to, you know, see what they can do. And he goes, who's that? And I said, Lori Volz. He goes, oh, I know Lori, she does a great job. You know, and this is just a guy from the Department of Ed that happened to be there. So that's what all I have to say. I mean, if you truly want to go, I wish you all the best. But if not, and there's a chance you can stay here, I think that would be just to keep this district going as good as I've seen it for so many years. I think you're an integral part, and it'd be great to have you stay here. Thanks.
Thanks, Al. Any other employees?
Try to keep this to 2 minutes like I usually do. I'm Kathy Niebor. I've been employed with District 241 since 1986. First as a business and office teacher and work program coordinator, middle school dean, human rights officer, K-12 technology curriculum coordinator, K-12 media specialist in the elementary and the high school, ATPPS district coordinator, technology integration as ALC lead. Whew. And currently, I get to work really closely with Lori Volz as a secondary programs coordinator, as an administrator. My husband and I have raised 3 daughters in this community, and they're all pursuing college and master's level education post-high school graduation. When I was a teacher, member of the ALEA, I was a secretary, treasurer, members' rights, and negotiator with Al over the course of my 28 years as a teacher. I have been on both sides of the negotiating table, and here's what I know. Albertley has a good educational system, and it has a good community. But like our community, it needs to continue to grow and improve. To do that, we need to continue to develop skills to have those crucial conversations within our school system and our community to help us move forward. I know that Lori Volz added to the skills of our organization when it comes to having those conversations. During the most difficult session I was ever in as a teacher negotiator, I looked across the table at Lori Volz and asked her a difficult question. Please explain to us what happened and what this meant. It was her calm demeanor and skills that were able to bring the very complex and unexpected information into a zone where we could discuss and move forward. Sorry, Jim, it was Lori. Negotiations is all about proposals and challenges and questions and revisions and coming to a decision where there maybe isn't even consensus other than to settle and move forward together as a school district with the teachers and the administration and the school board. It is difficult work. This last spring, as a district level administrator, I was part of the team working with the buildings that made decisions about the next school year. These are often challenging decisions as they involve people's livelihoods, their jobs, and our most precious customer as a school, our students. The superintendent directs us often to build the best model, the best schedule, the best coursework, the school, and we will try to fund that. Well, there really isn't a we when it comes to funding it. It's a Lori, will she find the funds? And I got to witness firsthand that it isn't without many hours and late evenings combined with many years of experience to begin to know where to look to fund, to cross code, to find the dollars to do what's best. With legislative decisions often uncertain until late May and grants unknown until early August, simply saying, let's not cut anybody is unfair to the employee and the taxpayers. It is often unknown until late in the summer where some of the dollars will come from. For several years as a teacher and as an administrator, I lobbied for an individual teacher. And again, I did it this year. And I was at the brink, I thought, of it happening. But in the end, I had to call 2 teachers and say, well, maybe next year. Making that position not happen, it just wasn't going to work. But others did work with a new model at the high school, bringing in 2 teachers who aspired to leadership and working with students outside of the classroom. Without Lori Volz seizing on some financial opportunities, the funding would have looked different or even non-existent. We now have 2 teacher deans who bring a new view and new relationships into our high school to support a top-notch principal and a top-notch assistant principal who are leading our high school down a path for the 21st century. I got a glimpse of that as a teacher leader, and I fully appreciate it as an administrator. Lastly, auditors review the integrity of the work of those in public finance. To the school board, public finance personnel of the caliber of Lori Volz need your support. Without evidence of any financial negligence identified by an auditor, anything less than public support is detrimental to the public good. To Lori Volz, thank you for all you have done for this school district and wider community. Thank you for your expertise. We will feel your loss, and I hope, too, you will reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other employees?
I'm Diane Schultz, 414 Ridge Road here in Albert Lea. Didn't plan on coming up here, but I just, again, have to reiterate how important this is. I was the person they were referring to that has worked in a school district that was in statutory operating debt. And it's very hard to go through that, and you have to have a financial person. This is unbelievable, the things that you've done. I've been able to come in and do my administrative job and be able to know that if I have questions, I can go to Lori. Everything is taken care of. We have people in place to do that, but yet our balance is a plus fund balance. To go through a statutory operating debt and having someone come in to not know how to balance that budget and do what they need to do, I can tell you as a teacher, I went through that as a teacher. Class sizes were huge. We had no money to buy supplies. It was the culture, talk about the culture, that was a piece that really went down the drain as well, because people had a hard time coming to school and feeling like, is this really where I want to be? And I can't say enough for coming into a new school district, feeling supported by that. And I can tell you that you are the pillar of this community, this school district, in what you do. And I sincerely ask you to reconsider staying in Albert Lea, because you are an asset to our community and our school district. Thanks.
Thanks, Dan. Other employees?
Johanna Thomas, 1428 Edgewater Drive, Albert Lee, principal of Halverson Elementary School. And on behalf of the Albert Lee Administrative Association, I strongly encourage this board to find a way to keep Lori. For the reasons that Dr. Funk had on his slide, that's the big picture. The little picture happens all the time, but most recently happened with me over the last week. At Halverson, we have a wonderful, amazing group of fifth graders that need a specific experience this year. And that experience has come out to be the Kindness Retreat, which is very similar from Youth Frontiers, presents to our 8th graders with the Courage Retreat. And this group of amazing students is really in need of a very unique experience that isn't often given, it is not given at our district at this level. So I called Lori and I said, this is what we need. This is what these kids need. They need this experience. And she's given it to us. She found a way to make it happen. We're going to make it happen, and it's going to happen for our kids. So it's not about us, it's about the kids, and that's what her focus was. So again, on behalf of the Albert Lee Administrative Association, I strongly encourage this board to figure this out and find a way to encourage her to stay. Thank you.
Thanks. Other employees?
Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Quisley. I'm your math specialist. I do not live in Albert Lee, but I live at Northwood. If you want that rural address, I can sure give it to you. Lori, you know I've been in the district for 3 years, and thank you for everything you've done. Before I came to Albert Lee, I did the same type of job, but I worked for the state of Iowa. As I worked for the state of Iowa, I had the unique opportunity to serve 52 rural and size of Albert Lee school districts. I've seen school districts who have to close because their class sizes are 7 of graduating class. I've seen school districts that need to build new buildings and they put up shacks because their population is growing faster than they can maintain. You have a wealth of knowledge here. You can't let her go. In the things since I've been here, I've never had to worry about where's the money going to come from. I know if it's there, it's going to happen. We are making a difference in the lives of our students because we can focus on the lives of our students. We're not having to worry about, like some of the rural Iowa districts I had to worry about. We needed a new math text, and that was part of my job to bring in my past experience. This district couldn't afford the text. They PDF'd and copied it all off on the computer, on the printer, because they couldn't buy the textbooks. I don't have to worry about that. I can go to Lori and say, you know what, textbooks are great, but guess what? I need rulers for teachers. I need math manipulatives for special ed. Our talented and gifted need this. This person needs this. And I know if I make a reasonable, to all the people in the district office, the money will be there. Now, if I go ask for something silly, well, I wouldn't expect it to be there. You have a wealth of knowledge here. And Lori, I'd like to thank you for that. You are a pillar of this community and the community. And I'd like to thank your family for standing up when some of us should have stood up earlier, because I know you've probably been leaning on them. For the school board, I want you to think about the message that I gave my confirmation students. The rearview mirror is the size it is for a reason. We need to continue to always be paying attention to what's behind us in our past, but our front view mirror on our car is that size for a reason, because we have to continue to move forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Other employees?
I wasn't going to speak, but I will be very brief. Lori knows I've been begging every day. Please stay. doing the federal grants will be a great loss, and yeah, it'd be a big loss to Albert Lee. I heard the word forgiveness a lot tonight, and I guess we all need to move forward, and I said after the forgiveness I gave to a person that tragically killed my father last week, or a couple weeks ago, if I can forgive somebody who killed my father, I think as a community we can all forgive and move forward, because I said 2017 will be a great year for me, and it will be a great year for this community, and we need to move on. And what Chris said, no more looking in the rearview mirror, we have to go forward. So it is about forgiveness, but bottom line, we're here about you, Lori, so please stay. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Jo. Other employees? If not, anybody else? If not, we'll move on to the board discussion. And we can have discussion, or I think we may want to take turns and have comments. It might be more appropriate. And Dave, I'll just start with you.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Just a couple thoughts. First, I'll just give you a little background. I guess, Lori, I think we go back to middle school. I can't remember, somewhere in there. Of course, Elmore was a little bit, better at some things, but I do know that anything that you were in, if it was sports, music, academics, of course, you always excelled. And that was one of the big things I know when I looked at running for the school board. I didn't want to deal with financial problems, and I knew if you were over there, we wouldn't worry about that. So thank you for doing that. And I've also I've been out of town for several days and just had an overwhelming amount of people that have stopped by or called about do what you can do and everything else. And, and I know there's probably as much intrinsic things that are going on here for your reconsideration as opposed to anything. And, I guess if you're even hearing half of what I'm hearing, I think what your thoughts should be. But I really do appreciate the work you've done for the kids, because I enjoyed Mike's comments there, and you did kind of lead me some directions I was wondering about. But I kind of figured. But I really, and I see Corey in the back of the room. Corey, I kind of like that picture at the end. That's what I see our district as. I mean, we've been a great district. We've had some problems in here lately. And I would keep it as short as I can, as I've been known not to. But I would say this, that as I think Brad said earlier too, we could have some, well, as everyone said, if they needed anything, you were there. I know when we talk negotiations, because I like to ask financial questions, and I like to kind of dig and pick a little bit too, but it was always nice to be able to ask that question, and you go, well, it's going to cost us $41,319 to do that, and I'm like, wow. I mean, that puts it all in perspective, so that way we can make sure that we're not spending money in areas that aren't there for the kids, because that's what it's all about. And I mean, even what's happened over the last year or two, I mean, it hasn't been like what I would like it to be, but I mean, we can all move forward with that. But I mean, you've been such an integral part of being able to keep, just the real important things, as Steve said, to where we didn't have to worry about them. And I know if we have financial problems, that makes my decisions a lot easier too in the future. So I really hope, and as I told you, my sister, I'm not going to let her travel with you anymore either, if you go to Mankato. So, but no, I really hope that you reconsider and hang around, because you've done a great job, and I know it's been an excellent job, and it will continue to only be better. Thanks.
Thank you. And I would like to thank everyone for coming tonight. It's great to have this kind of turnout. I'm sorry that it took this point to engage this part of the community. It seems like this part of the community, I don't know, the social interactions here, the social dynamics that are happening are just fascinating, and would really be an interesting case study for many students. But I'm wondering, some questions. It seems to me I wonder if we don't have some kind of a privileged caste system going on here in our community, because I just, from my perspective, it appears that this group of people here tonight don't have the experience that the average Joe or the commonplace Jill might have. That this, you all here tonight, I value your independent voices and your independent thoughts, but I'd like for you to just consider, if you would, that the privileges that are being extended to you tonight aren't given to the normal average person. You're able to come and talk when it's something that's going to be positive and reinforcing to what certain board members and maybe administration want you to go on. So I do thank you, and I value your independent voices, but you are not subjected to some of the comments that some of the other portions of society are subjected to. You're not being called a small, angry group of people, even though I've seen many angry communications. You're not being called a negative portion of society that's trying to work against everything that the district's trying to do with a board member or two supporting you. You're not being told a lot of other hurtful things that I won't bring into the conversation tonight that other people have been. And I guess a common theme that I'm hearing in your comments tonight are that you have expectations of us as a board, and that's great. You have expectations of professionalism. You have expectations that we're going to focus on the children and do what's best for kids and for students, and that we should be performing positive work. All of those things are very important. And I guess from my perspective sitting here today, I'm glad we're having this communication, because I would like to share some expectations I would have too, just as a community member. I would expect that our community members would be conscious about the information that they're receiving. Are they getting the full picture? Am I getting the full picture of a situation if I'm only listening to one side, since we're so polarized right now? I've been out of town. I'm very thankful. I haven't been seeing everything in the paper and on social media, but I've seen a lot of negative things. And what I will kindly put as misinformation, I could go a lot stronger there, but I will say misinformation. There's a quote actually in the paper that I would like clarity on, as far as I don't know, this meeting that happened and information that was given. What that quote, I have questions, and I do have questions about other things that I've seen come out of that, which give me the feel that there are some assumptions being made. And so I think that's another piece, that we cannot make assumptions, and I've been guilty of assumptions, as everyone has been. But we need to be careful not to make assumptions about people groups, about dynamics or what's going on. We need to take a step back and think, you know, am I going to be a strong-minded thinker? Can I think as an individual, or is it more important for me to just be part of this group think, showing a, you know, solidified front? Or is there really something else to consider here? Another expectation that I would have of all of us would be to not accept a double standard. It appears that there is a lot of perhaps blaming, perhaps shaming of certain groups or certain people who speak out. And it's okay for one side to do personal attacks and the other not to do, you know, one side's okay and the other isn't. We need to just check for double standards. Are we allowing conversations of our own that we wouldn't want from the other side? Kind of comes back to that time of politics. There's always that kind of thing. Are we speaking in ways that we wouldn't want to be spoken about? Are we holding our government officials accountable? And I believe that's what you're trying to do tonight. So I'm thankful that it's got to this point. And as some of you have said, you're sorry for jumping in a little bit late, but you know, from what you're feeling. But part of that accountability is actually holding our elected officials to maintaining integrity, to maintaining ethics, to maintaining following the law. Those are all issues that are important in this district and have been. I agree that that it has been chaos here. And I think it had to be to get to this point to have this discussion. This discussion has to be had tonight and to continue to be had. And I think we need to take a step back and make sure that all voices are being treated respectfully, that all people groups are being treated with dignity. So those are some expectations that just came to mind as I was processing what you were sharing tonight. So I thank you for sharing. A few pieces on the superintendent's report. I've also spent a lot of time in the Balkans. It's a great place to be, and there is a lot of history there, a lot of hate, a lot of hurt, a lot of animosity, and a lot of propaganda. And so I think we also need to be careful of propaganda and be respectful. I believe that, you know, we talked about social media on there. We talked about demanding the chair's resignation. I will be very clear tonight in that I stand by those remarks. I made it clear all along the way that I have heard many stories of mistreatment and cultural problems in this district. I've been in this seat 10 years, and in my experience, it's worse now than it ever has been. I know we are not all hearing the same stories, and I'm not going to be sharing others' stories. All I can share is my own. I've had my own story of what's happened to me here, and I will share that because it has not been right. And I know there's lots of talk about forgiving and forgetting, and I appreciate that. But there is a piece of accountability that forgiveness doesn't make accountability go away. Forgiveness doesn't remove the natural consequences of an action. So those are things that we need to think about. And I hold to the fact that there are major things here that need to be changed, that there are legal issues here that need to be looked into. And I will hold my ground on that because that is a piece of accountability that I would believe that the average Joe would want me to do as an elected official. I don't think the average person would want their elected official to be mistreated, to be attacked, to be bullied, to be slandered, to be demeaned, any of that kind of thing. And I don't think that the average person would want their elected official to just shut up and take it. I know those are very strong words, but I have to be very clear and open with you tonight. And I would hope that we would continue this conversation. I would hope that we would look deeply into what's going on here and not expect that a couple words will make everything better. It'll make it better, but it won't fix everything right away. There are things that need to be fixed here amongst the board and in the district. And I believe it can work, but there has to be accountability. There has to be responsibility. Thank you.
Let's see, am I on? Okay. So I have a unique perspective that I don't think anyone else shares, and it's that Lori and I were colleagues together as central office administrators for Austin. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that it was wonderful to work with Lori as a colleague in our central office roles, and she absolutely, with her financial expertise, makes the district better. She did that in Austin. She has absolutely done that here. Then my role changed and became board member for the district, and so we had a new collegial relationship, different from what we had had in the past. I too appreciate so much everyone who's here and has shared information through emails and text messages and all the things that you've said tonight. I think a board wants nothing more than an engaged community who we're all pulling the wagon together in the same direction. So I am so happy to see community members who are standing up and saying, I care. This district is important to us. I can't ever help but have my HR hat on, so Steve Bowron's comments about every single employee is so important. Every cog in that wheel makes our organization run successfully and effectively and efficiently. And so I just couldn't agree more with that, how important everybody is. And I have talked for many, many months about how important I think retention is, not just for our district or us as an employer, but every single employer and every district. And we're not immune from that. And so everything we can do as a district to have open and honest conversations about how do we retain our talent so that they don't go and leave us and bring that expertise to a new place. So I am very, very supportive of having those conversations and putting strategies into place that are going to keep our talented people, because unfortunately, Lori is not the first of talented folks who have left our district, and we don't ever want that happen. You know, I think healthy finances are kind of like laying a foundation of a house. If you don't have that solid foundation, you can't build the floors of that house. And so having healthy finances, I think we, after a while, take it for granted and forget how important that really is, but it is very, very important. And I think I think it's important to look in the rearview mirror to inform our future, but not use it to dwell on the past. And so I think as I think about how do we move forward, I think it's going to take many things, but I think we absolutely have a great district, a great community, and can move forward in a very, very positive way. And I think it starts, and I've said this, you know, at a prior meeting, we have to have mutual respect for each other. Disagreeing isn't bad. Healthy disagreement makes an organization and each of us as leaders better. But it can't separate us and be viewed as bad. And I think, unfortunately, a piece of what has gotten us to today is that is being perceived as a bad thing. So I think some of the other things we need to have to move forward is we each need to own our own actions and our own behaviors. And that's hard to do sometimes, but we only can control ourselves. And so we've got to own that. And we need to make a commitment to owning that and then holding each other accountable for that. I think that a lot has been talked about commitment to making forgiving and moving forward. I also agree that's important. There has been enough hurt, I think, to go around over and over and over again. And we have to change that and do better and do right by each other, because it takes us off track of the mission we're here to do. I want us to be proud to be board members and administrators and teachers and employees and make our community proud of us. And that is only gonna happen if we are a we, if we are a team and move ahead in that way. And I just so go back time and time again that has to start with having hard conversations and having mutual respect for each other. Because if we continue to divide, we will never move forward and pull this wagon forward together. And I just hope, Lori, that you continue to be in this wagon pulling us forward and being part of that team. I know I emailed you individually, and losing you would be a tremendous loss for our community and for our district. And I hope that that doesn't happen. And I think it's, you know, it's not gonna be an easy fix to go forward, but if everyone is committed to that positive moving forward, I 100% believe that it can happen.
I just sat here tonight, and pretty much everyone has said the exact same things that I would say to you. I have lived in Albert Lea for 13 years. I was on the Budget Advisory Committee before I was on the school board, been on the school board for 8 years, and I've actually worked with 3 different finance directors, and you are the best. We know this. I have to say that I have seen grown men tear up and grown women cry at the thought of you leaving us. It tears me up right now just to think of you potentially leaving us. You have just been the rock of our district, and I totally appreciate everything you've done. I'm sorry that I've not been more supportive. I hope I've done everything I can, but I feel in my heart that I think I've supported you 100% with everything you've done, and you are the best, Lori. Thank you so much for everything you've done for all of us and making our job as school board members easier. Thank you.
Well, there's not a lot more to be said other than, I'll keep this short. The financial discipline that you brought to this district, I think, has not been heard yet, but that is probably the central focus that I see that has been the biggest asset that you have brought us. Doing that, we haven't done the cuts that we used to do because we used to spend what we had, because we didn't know if we would have it tomorrow. So, and you reversed us on that, and I really appreciate that because that brought some stability and actually some great successes, moving forward. I remember being as board chair, asking you, I think you'd been here 2 years, and you just had pulled 2 or 3 things out of your hat that saved us $500,000 here, $250,000 there, and $100,000 here, and it was like, okay, she's got to be done. So I asked you, do you got any more tricks in that hat? And you haven't stopped. It's continued. Every single year you come up with something else for this district, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's why you are not taking Melcher's place up at the state, I don't know. Exactly. You're wiser than Tom. But Lori, if you would reconsider, it would be difficult, I know. If there was a path that this board could take to rectify the issues, I think it's something that we have to look at and try our hardest, because it's not only for your benefit, but for the benefit of our students. And that's all it's about, is our students. And so I would ask you to reconsider.
Okay. It's hard to speak last because I think everybody wants some big words of wisdom, and it's difficult up here. I can say that it's been very difficult to sit up here as a board member and hear some people that I really respect use words like chaos and negativity and faults. And I'm going to go back to what I said at the beginning. It's been difficult to be the chair of this group, and I'm accountable for that. And so I am responsible for my actions, and to anyone I've ever offended or failed, I'm going to apologize. But I'm not solely responsible. That's going to require everyone who has some responsibility to do the same thing. And it doesn't mean the accountability goes away. we're going to have a new board in January. We know for sure we'll have at least the third new members, and there'll be a new chair. But that has to be the time that all this gets put to rest, or we'll be here again in a year with different players, but the same problems. But it's going to require all of us to do it. And so I'm asking a couple things. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my week. I got 14 emails and 1 phone call to ask me to make other people take down Facebook posts. Now, these are adults. These are my kids calling me, and they're adult Facebook posts. And I was sitting there, and my wife was like, "What the heck is wrong with you?" Because I was just moping. It's like, I'm just depressed because I'd like to spend the time thinking about Chromebooks and teachers, and I'm thinking about how am I going to get people to take down Facebook posts. That's been this week, and that's been for a whole year, and it just has to end. And again, am I faultless? I am not. I am not faultless, and I'm saying that publicly, and believe me, that is difficult to do up here and say that. But the responsibility then sits with the rest of us 5 and the new 2 or 3, the same thing, that are we going to show up and do the right thing, or are we not? And so, Lori, I'm committing to you that I will do the right thing. And I'm hoping that whoever the other 5 are will say the thing, we'll do the same thing, and we can work on the students of the district. And so you've heard a lot of praise for you tonight, and I'm not going to repeat it, but it's all true. And you know, I would respectfully request that you reconsider. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody.